Hello. So today I'm going to try and demonstrate how to create a pattern using 3-drop gourd stitch. Now I'm going to continue on working with the example that I started from the previous demonstration. But first I want to figure out a pattern. So by figuring out the pattern, I made some graph paper, some 3-drop gourd stitch. So on this paper there's numbers 1, 2, 3. That represents the 3 drop of the beads on the stitch. So you look 1, 2, 3, or that's backwards. 1, 2, 3, and then if you look at the beadwork, 1, 2, 3. So that will represent one whole column of bead. And then I've numbered. I know that it takes 24 from the bottom to the top, 24 columns of beads, or a total of 24 beads to make one column. So I've numbered the on the side here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So from the lowest bead, from number 1 all the way to the top, is 24. And from this highest, the peak bead, if I were to continue all the way down to this highest bead here, that will be 24. So this section of beads represents rows of 24, of 3 beads each. So the pattern I want to create is going to be based on a 3 repeat pattern. Now the reason why I chose that right now, because I think that would be the most simplest pattern to create for demonstration purposes. Now there's variations of patterns that can be developed, and that's where math calculation comes into play. Now I was never really good at math, and I don't like crunching the numbers, but because I thoroughly enjoy beading, I'm going to have to crunch the numbers. So I know that the circumference of the lighter is 54, right? And from the previous calculation, 54, I'll have 54 divided by 3 equals 18. So there's 18 sections of beads. So whatever pattern that I create, I'll have 18 repeats of 3 sections. So for example, say I wanted to figure out a different size pattern. Say I wanted to double this up, or triple it up, or quadruple it. I would have to find a number that's divisible by 54 to give me the repeat of the pattern. So for example, I could divide 6 into 54, and that would give me 9. So that means that I would have six groupings of 6 repeated 9 times. So that's how I've kind of calculated how I can create the patterns in order to repeat. Now it took me some practice to figure that out, but in time, as you keep doing this and repeating it, the calculations just become easier, and then you can begin to develop your own mathematical repeats. So the pattern that I'm looking at today, I've already created, and I'm just going to use 2 colors. I'm going to use red and a silver. And this is the pattern here. So the reason why I've numbered it all the way up to 24, and the beginning is 1. And then I've numbered the bottom 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The reason why I've done that is it gives me a point of reference and something that I can look at when I'm beading and following this design. Now when I say a pattern of repeat, if I take a blank edge up against this here, against that edge, you could see it doesn't look like much. But if I move it over, that's the exact same design as the initial one. So that's 3, that's 6, that's 9, and that's 12. Now if I were to keep going, the pattern would just continue to repeat. So that's the that will begin to show up on the work. So let's get started. So I'm just going to place this to my side, and I'm going to keep looking at it periodically just to make sure that I'm on route with this, on track with the pattern. So there we go. Place it right there. And then pick up my stitch. So what I want to do is, now I know that I'm at the beginning of the next row. The reason why I know this is because I've gone through the bridge. Now when I go through the bridge here, right here, to me that indicates that I'm starting the next circumference of beads. Now anytime that I want to change the color or start a new pattern, I need to start it from here. Okay, so now what I want to do is look at my pattern and determine which bead I want to put on first. So the first bead that I want to put on will be the number 2 bead. So the first bead, because of the pattern, let me see here. Because I've already started it, the next bead that's going to slip into place will be the number 2 bead. And that will slip into place right here. Okay, so, and that will be the silver color. So I just pick up my bead, pick up my bead and go through the topmost bead. Now the next bead that pattern of repeat. So I know that it's going to go 1, 2, 3. So I'll pick up another silver bead. And go through that way. Now this is going to be, how is this going to be? Okay, just keep going here. Once I get going, once I start beading, I kind of get lost in my thoughts as to all the patterns I could make, all the colors I could use. And by the time I finished a project, I already have like a number of projects that I've already started in my mind. So as you notice, I kind of got confused in the beginning, in the initial how to read the pattern. So I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get things started when it comes to this kind of stitch. Okay, so now I'm putting the last bead on from the previous row, or from the row that I'm just finishing. So this is where I want to keep in mind to go through the bridge part. See? Right here, I don't want to pick up a bead, I just want to go through the bridge. There we go. Now I have one complete row. So that means I'm starting the next row. So now I want to look at my pattern and see the next bead will be the 3 bead that I'll be putting on. So I notice that when I'm reading the pattern, I'm starting from the right of the pattern and going towards the left. And I think that's because when I'm beading, I'm starting from the right going towards the left. So I have to read the pattern kind of like in reverse. Mind you, I started out with the number 2 bead because it's the lowest, and that's where the bead drops. But we'll see what happens here. And with this beading, you can adapt. It can be adapted to, like it's adaptable. Say, for example, I didn't get it right on the pattern as I wanted. I can change it up and it will be just as nice, as long as I remember when to change the pattern, and that's at the beginning of the row after the bridge. Okay, I'm at the beginning of the next row. So now the next bead that I'm going to put on will be, okay, so these will be 2 and 3. These ones here will count as the second and the third bead. Second and the third. And then the next bead that I'll be putting on will be this bead here. Sorry, this bead here. So I got the 2 and the 3 bead. So now the next bead that I'm going to slip on is this one here. Because if you look on the pattern on this bead, that's right, you can see how it is, how the 2 and the 3 are the silver, and the next drop is just left of the 2. Okay, so I'm going to carry on. So I'm still using the silver. I finished that row, and now I'm going through the bridge, and now I'm at the beginning of the next row. Okay, so now I've achieved, I have, see it's, I need 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to keep going. I only have 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to add another silver one on. Okay, there we go. Now I'm at the beginning of the next row. Now this white section here will be the red. That's the main color. So I know that this will be red, and this will be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one begins over here. So that's the repeat. Now I can add on the red. Oh, look at that. So what I did there was I added 2 on to the thread and needle. Now had I not caught that, later on up here I would have been, even the next row, I would have been trying to figure out how the heck, why is my pattern askew? So, okay, so now what I have to do is figure out how to get through there. Go back here like this, try not to catch the thread. There we go. Drop a bead and carry on. Now I'm at the end, and I can slip through that one and start the next row. Now for this one I have to be careful, because when I'm looking at the pattern on the paper, I notice that I have 2 beads here, 1 bead, a cluster of 4 beads, 1 bead, another cluster of 4 beads, 1 bead, and another cluster of 4 beads. So when I'm threading this, I have to remember that there's 1 bead that sits between the red ones, or the silver ones, I mean. There'll be 1 bead, there'll be 1 red bead, there'll be 1 red bead on top of this bead right here. So I'll keep that in mind as I go around the circumference. And there we go. We're at the end and at the beginning again. Okay, so now I'll just carry on. Now this is where I'll just have the 1 red bead on top of this one right here. That's where the next bead I'm going to go slip on will slip into this little spot right there. So you can see where the 1 silver or the 1 red, should say, sits on top of the 1 silver. So now I'm running out of thread, but it should be able to take me around. Now I like to change the thread when I get to the bridge. The bridge is, I know I keep talking about the bridge of this kind of beadwork. I don't know what else to call it. That's where I'm going to change the thread or add a new thread. And I'll show you how to do that. Well, you can, it just kind of keeps me in check of where I'm at and where I can start the next row. So here we go. We're at the end of the row and there's the bridge part. I'm not picking up any beads. I'm going to go through. Now I'm just going to leave that just like that for now. And what I'm going to do is, I've already threaded a needle. Already got a needle prepared. So, oopsie. What I'm going to do is just take it and weave it through here. Keeping in mind that I want to come out through there. So, oh. Don't want to hit the camera too much. Alrighty, so just about there for that one. There we go. So now I'm just threading it through where the old thread is. Pull it a little bit snug. And now I'm just going to take this old thread and just thread it through a few times in a different area. Now you want to make sure that you thread it through enough times so that it locks into place, because what could happen is if you don't, this last row that you did could become loose and all the work that you've done won't stay in place. There we go. That might come out after, but that's okay. I can fix it up. There we go. Now, just gonna snip that off. All these loose ends, don't worry about them right now. You can burn them off after. So there we go. So now I'm ready to start the next row of, let's see here. I'm looking at my pattern. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I still need 5 red. Yep, 5 red to go. So I need 2 more rows to go around twice. So every once in a while, when there's a color change or pattern change, what I want to do is just to go back and check. So I know that there's 4 red ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that there's 4 red ones all the way around, just to make sure I didn't pick one up or drop one or miss a loop, miss a bead. So I'm happy with that, and once in a while too, I'll just double check the count here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I'm happy with that. So I know I can keep going. And don't forget that I don't need, on the end of the last row, I don't need to pick up, just to go through. Now I'm beginning the next row. Now this will be the last row that I will be doing for this, for red, before I change it back over to silver. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on the pattern, on the paper, the red, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I know I'm right on track. So the next row will begin with silver. Okay, so now I'm just going to keep beading until I finish this row of silver and I get onto the start of the next pattern. Okay, so there we go. I just about made a mistake. I didn't realize I was already at the bridge. So I'm just going to take that through. And what clued me in was the bead just wasn't sitting right. So now I'm at the beginning. I'm at the beginning of that row and I'm at the end of that row. I just take that through there. Now just to double check, there's 4, 4, 4. Just going to do a random check on this one here. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Perfect. Now I need to add. So the dark represents the silver and the light represents the red. So now I have 4 silver, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've completed that row. Now I'm going to move on to back to the red. Okay, so now back to the pattern. Now these beads, this section here represents the red beads. So I know that I'm going to need a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beads of red. So I'm only at 2, so I have 5 more rounds to go.